Well, I'm getting ready to drop the gas tank on the Samurai. First I have to drain it, and I don't really need to take this wheel off, but I'm taking off both back tires because you know, I got the impact here, of course, you know, with the heavy duty long impact sockets, heavy wall, you know, it comes right off with like 150 pounds of tank pressure on your air compressor, right? But I want to grease these up with heavy grease. They're not rusty, they're not screwed up. But, you know, when they sit on there a while, you know, they've been on there for quite some time. And if you look at these tires, they're good, but they're dry rotted. So, see that? I'm going to change these out. I'm making a decision. I don't know what kind of tires I want to get. I want to probably get something that fits on the stock thing. I think a 215/78, 215/75, 15 fits on a stock Samurai Jimny. It's actually an Asian model, Jimny 1300. And I'm gonna have to make a careful decision because whatever I put on here is going to be on here for a while. I may just go with standard snow tires, either maybe Firestone Winter Force, Nittos, or General. But the other thing is, you know, I've actually had on this car these Douglas Extra Track. I heard so many bad things about them, but I've had them on this El Camino for 10 years. It's been loaded down many times. I'm almost tempted to get them because they ride nice, they're pretty good in snow, and they're stronger than all-season tires. And I may just set this up with a locker in the back, but I don't know. That's why I'm not buying tires right now, because I'm very much undecided, because whatever you stick on here is going to be on here for a long time. I'm looking for the quietest winter tire, actually. So got to drop the gas tank on it, and the weather right now is 78 degrees here in Florida temporarily. But what I'm doing is getting the kerosene heater ready because you know, because it's going to get cold again, and getting it fired up. Now, when I use the RedKote on the gas tank, I'm also going to use the RedKote on this kerosene tank because I just realized it's got a slow leak. You can see it right there. So I'm going to use this kerosene up, put it in another container, and you know, use the kerosene heater. But I'll also wind up coating this and see how this works out with the kerosene too, with the RedKote. I heard some good stuff about this. I've actually used the Kreem product on a motorcycle in 1990. It's still there. It's still holding up. No rust in the tank, and it never flaked off. So if you do it right, I'm going to wind up when I drop this gas tank. I'll show you what it is. You know, I got impact here, so it's easy to do. I've already taken this gas tank out once before, and it cracked due to the what do you call it? The vapor canister not working. So what was happening, it was pulling in and sucking in air this way, and it was making the tank flex in and out, and that caused it to crack. So I actually got a replacement tank with a trailer hitch and all that stuff. So, but this will come out real easy. I just got to drain it first before I pull it out. That's the only thing I got to do. Well, the trailer hitch is out. Actually, I picked up the replacement gas tank some years ago and a trailer hitch for $5. It was a hookup. And the one thing is, this bar goes directly over the gas tank where the drain plug is. I'm almost tempted to drill a hole in that bar because or maybe strengthen it this way, because I don't like that feature. I'm probably going to modify that later, because actually most of the strengthened hitch is actually where it's bolted in the frame. That's just doing a couple little hooks to balance it out on the gas tank rim itself. I don't like that because you can't drain it, and I'm probably going to modify that. So anyway, the way to get this off is you got to take the tail lights off, and you go in here, and here's you can see the two holes right here, these holes right here. So that's where the hitch is mounted to. These were in here kind of rusty, so I actually loosened up a couple bolts on it. I got a wrench in here, and I just lifted this up slightly so I can get a wrench in here. So the next step is take the drain out, and I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of freaking water in this gas tank probably, and the size on this thing is, let's see what the hell that is, man. Well, I'll tell you, after 22 millimeter, so that's what that bolt is. But you can see right here is where the actual, there's a skid plate, and here's exactly where the trailer hitch went right across that. I'm actually probably gonna modify that bar, or do something or weld something around there so we can get at this drain hole. That's ridiculous having it like that. Well, talk about crappy gasoline. That's some pretty bad gasoline. It's pure orange, and this is only up to here right now. Kitty litter, that's perfect, right? But I don't know how much is in here. The whole gas tank in its entirety is 10.5 gallons, so I don't think there's probably half full. So some dirty stuff. That's probably what happened to the gas. Probably the fuel filter's clogged up. Probably, even though it has a brand new fuel pump in it, it's probably not working right. It probably could fix it with Marlboro Mystery Oil, but I actually have another fuel pump that did the same thing. It jammed up. It was a new one. I fixed it with Marlboro Mystery Oil, and actually have another brand new one besides that. So probably got 3 new fuel pumps. So they can all be fixed with Marlboro Mystery Oil. Nothing's really wrong with them from this bad gas. I used to start this up with just pouring gas in the carburetor, and I really, even though it's all registered and insured, I just don't use it much. I hardly ever use it. Yeah, I just want to show some of the things you got to disconnect. Actually, way back here, you see that? That's a 17 millimeter. That's for the main fuel line. This one I have capped off because on this Asian model, I don't know, it doesn't use it, some kind of vent or whatever the hell it is. I ain't sure. In this one, you had to disconnect that. Here's the to the filler right here. And what I do is I loosen them up, and I use like I use the pry bar and I pry it out. And this puppy's got a skid plate on it, so I don't think that's stock actually. Well, it's it's a factory skid plate, but it's an option. I think I put that on there later. So, and here's the wire to the fuel connector. I'll bet you that sensor's no good. I don't think that this doesn't look too corroded, but I'm going to be checking in here pretty soon. So it's all loose, ready to come out. It's just I got it on a jack. So that's the next thing. So I'll drop it to the floor here and go ahead and I'm going to check this fuel gauge and see how this works, if it works with the other sensor. Okay, watch the fuel gauge. You can see it's starting to go up, and it's climbing, right? That means, well, it'll work. That's the new sensor. It may be a bad sensor, probably is. So I'm glad I got a new one anyway. I'd change it anyway. I'm going to check the old one, but there's the deal. So there that's the gauge is fine. The gauge is fine. So I'll show you how I have it in the back there. Basically, I just hooked the wire to the bottom of the sensor. Now it's upside down, so this way it shows full because the float is this way. Now if I send the float that way, you'll see it change to E down there inside. You'll see it start dropping. And there it goes, it's dropping. So that's the problem. It's not the gauge, so that's cool. Anyway, I kind of figured that was the problem. So anyway, now to the next step. Well, I put a lot of chassis grease on threads on these when I put the wheel back on. Actually, I just decided probably going to go with Douglas tires, even though they're cheap, because I'll get them from Walmart right here, depending if I get the right size. Because this is a General tire. General makes a good tire. It's actually more screwed. It's got more freaking problems and cracks and checks in it than the Douglas. Like I said, I had it in my El Camino for like 10 years, and it's been loaded down many times. And I've only had one problem with a Douglas, even though it's got a bad reputation. I had one problem after, I guess I had it on a car 6 or 7 years. So I don't know, man. So I might go with that, because this thing's so lightweight it don't matter. But if you notice down here, I've always went over this thing with rust preventative rusty metal primer, and most Samurais are rotted out. Look at this thing. Nothing. I mean, the only place it was rotted is right here. Now that's got the That's got the, what you call it on it, the chassis saver and stuff, but I'm going to put a little plate in there. It's all, that's because when you maintain stuff, it's like a constant battle, and this is an 85, so you know, if you got any 4x4s out there, it pays to do this, because that's the one thing that really kills you. It's not the mechanics so much, it's the damn freaking rust. But anyway, the gas tank's out, and I'm probably going to modify this right here, this piece, either drill a hole in it. You can see that exactly is where the hole is, so I can get at the I might just drill a large hole in it, because actually that plate is so freaking ridiculously strong. It's really, all the strength is up here. This is just to stabilize it. It just hooks around the back of, you know, this skid plate. So here's the gas tank, it's out, and I just got to unbolt the sending unit, and I'm going to start pouring in all kinds of freaking, what do you call it, vinegar and stuff like that, and let it sit and let it eat away everything that's down there. So that should work after a period of time. And what I'll do is I'll scrub this whole thing down. Any place that has rust, I'll go over with chassis saver, and I'll scrub everything down with just a plain, after I go over the rust area and stuff, and everything's scrubbed down, and do the chassis saver, let it dry. And the other part where it's not rusty is going to have truck bed lining, so that'll hold up very well. You don't need to actually chemically, also I use this Dawn dish detergent and a scrub brush. Believe me, if you get the dirt and grease off its shit, the paint sticks. If it's got like little tiny dust particles or some shit, that does not freaking make a problem underneath the car. So the paint will stick, especially like truck bed lining and chassis saver. So anyway, that's what I'm doing so far. Well, take a look at the float assembly that came out of there. It's pretty rusty. You never know if it works or not, but I'm curious. I'll probably test it later to see. But look inside this gas tank, if you can see in there very well. Maybe you can't, but it's rusty. It's pretty damn rusty. Maybe if I could put the this thing in there, you can see the rust. See that? So first thing, actually I'm going to rinse it out with water first, and I got 2 gallons of vinegar, white vinegar, and I'm going to seal it up, and I'm going to let it sit for some days. This is how I'm going to take my time with this till I get it squeaky clean, and then I'm going to use the RedKote on it, and it's probably, I'm going to probably have it sit a week or so, who the hell knows. As long as it gets really clean in there, I'm probably going to use a mirror, check it out, so make sure it's really clean. And once I coat it with that stuff, it doesn't leak. It doesn't leak. So, you know, it's going to be alright. That's been the problem why I've been eating up fuel pumps right there. Well, like I said, I pressure washed inside here. Besides the hose, used a pressure washer. A lot of junk came out. I did verify that this was bad, so, you know, I chopped off, this was the sender unit, so I'll leave this plate so I can seal it up. And I chemically cleaned all this stuff. I put Gorilla Tape around it, you know, 2 different ways. So I'll put 2 gallons of vinegar in here for now, and it's probably going to take several treatments before this thing actually comes out sparkling clean. And then we'll use the RedKote. Now I'm going to get on with doing some other stuff with this Jeep in the meantime. This will probably take I don't know, a week for all I know. But better do it right. And you know, actually I did this correct, because when I picked up this used gas tank, I chemically cleaned it, and I used some high quality rubberized undercoating, and now when I pressure washed it, none of the undercoating came off. It's under rock solid. This is just a leaf. It's under rock solid. So when I do this, this will be fine. This will be fine. Even though there's rust in there, there's no leaks, and this will seal it up, because once the rust is removed, it's going to have a grippy surface, and this stuff, like, as long as it's chemically clean, there's no rust, it's going to have a rough surface, and it's going to grip on there really good. It'll never come off. And yeah, as a side note, today's gases do not last anywhere near as long as the gases from like 30-40 years ago. If you leave them in a gas tank, they get screwed up pretty quick, so that's just a warning.